Do you even need to know 5 reasons why private health is so much better than public health? Well, stay tuned because in this video I'm going to highlight the 5 biggest differences between private and public health. Coming up. The biggest reason why you'd want private health cover is waiting lists. You do not want to wait if something goes wrong, you want to have it taken care of as soon as possible. Having private health cover actually gives you the option that you can go and see a specialist at any time and have it checked out as soon as possible. We actually had a real life case study where 2 sisters were diagnosed with breast cancer. One had private health, one didn't. So what do you think would actually happen? The one with private health was seen through the specialist, she had all the scans done, all the therapies done, and finished everything before her sister was actually seen in the public system. So what do you think actually happened? Not the best result for the other sister though. So waiting list is a big one. Make sure you have private health cover so you don't have to wait and you can just have things done as soon as possible. Number 2, and this is probably just as important as the waiting lists, it's non-Pharmac drugs. So if you need any drugs that's not approved by the government or funded by Pharmac, then you will need to pay for those yourself. And that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's normally things like new therapies that's come out, new kind of drugs that can actually save your life, which hasn't gone through the funding process yet through Pharmac, means you will need to pay for those yourselves. Having private health cover actually pays for all those costs. Now, a bit of a disclaimer is not all of the insurance companies pay for non-Pharmac drugs, so make sure you speak to your advisor to get the right policy for you. But can you imagine the difference having access to those kind of drugs that can save your life and have access to them immediately rather than going through the public system or trying to fundraise to get those paid? It just makes sense to have private cover. Non-Pharmac drugs is a really big one for private health cover. Number 3, pre-existing conditions. So private health cover does underwriting, which means they'll ask you a few questions to see if you have any pre-existing conditions. More than likely they'll be excluded. Some companies will actually accept those and underwrite those better, but you'll probably not have cover for those in the private system. The good thing though is that public system kind of don't have any exclusions. You'll be covered for those conditions that are not covered under your private health cover, and you can still have both. So having an exclusion for 1 or 2 conditions is not a reason not to have private health cover. You'll just need to go through the public system to have those checked out or to have those treated. It's always a good idea to have private health cover when you're young and you don't have any pre-existing conditions, which means as you get older, your policy grows with you and you'll be covered for all of those conditions. So this brings me on to point number 4, which is cost. Now, private health cover obviously is going to cost you more than public. Public is free, well, sort of, because we still pay for it in different ways like taxes and other means. But with private health cover, you need to pay for the kind of risk you want to take on board. There's different options. So you can have the base plan, surgical option, dental, optical, and doctors and prescriptions, which is obviously going to cost quite a bit. You can manage that quite well with a higher excess, or just taking the base plan if that's a base stop that you want. If you go visit your GP for argument's sake and you've got the full plan, you can still claim back some of those GP visits, dental visits and those kind of things, so then it becomes more affordable. But it really depends on your budget and what you can afford. Just remember, public system is always there in the background, so if your private cover doesn't come through, you can always still go public. So this brings me to point number 5, which is overseas medical benefit. That means your private medical cover will cover you for any costs outside of New Zealand to have treatment done if you cannot find the treatment in New Zealand. So you can imagine having that kind of cover when there's something that needs to be done and you cannot find anyone in New Zealand, or there's no specialists available to do that procedure in New Zealand. You can actually go to another country like America or Australia, Switzerland, or any other country that offers that treatment, and they will pay those costs. There are limitations to it, so just make sure you read your policy or talk to your advisor. Now you can imagine that the public system will not pay for this kind of treatment because obviously we cover people in New Zealand, makes sense. And you'll probably need to then get a give a little page or ask your friends or family to try and get you overseas to have those treatments done, which again can be a lot of money. So having the private cover gives you a lot of options. So you're not just bound by New Zealand, but you can actually go outside in the world and find that treatment. Now, some companies actually offer you cover in Australia as part of your policy as well, and they're normally Australian-owned companies, but it's just an added bonus for people that like to go over across to Australia. You're fully covered there as well. So that's quite a few differences between public and private, and I actually hope that that makes sense for you now, and you can see the benefits of having private cover and not just rely on the public system. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you understand the difference now between public and private. As always, please subscribe to my channel. I love seeing those comments coming through, and also like getting new subscribers. Who doesn't? So click the subscribe and bell button. And until you see me next time, see you later.